Welcome back to Tacoma Report. I'm Laura Proctor. Cleanup of encampments located along South 9th and South 11th Streets between Martin Luther King Jr. Way and M Streets recently took place. The site is being cleaned due to health and safety concerns. The Homeless Engagement and Alternatives Liaison Team, also known as the HEAL Team, has been visiting this location and conducting outreach weekly since March. To give us some insight into what the City of Tacoma is doing with this situation, we're lucky to get a chance to talk with Caleb Carbone, the Homeless Services Strategy Manager. Caleb, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So Caleb, tell us a bit about yourself and what your role is.
Yeah, so I am new to this position in the last couple of months. I am a Pacific Northwest native though, so this particular area is really passionate for me and what I do here. My career has been supporting people who are experiencing homelessness or unsheltered. I've also worked and supported organizations that have been helping folks and making enhancement plans and strategies and stability goals for people who are experiencing unsheltered and homelessness. And also been a part of communities and seeing what solutions can be made. And so that's been some of the things that I've been working on. My current role is the Homeless Strategy Systems and Service Manager for the city. And what my specific actions are is to support the city and how to address homelessness that is really such a big impact for the city and community.
Absolutely, a big role to take on, I assume, you know. And how is Tacoma addressing homelessness?
Yeah, so Tacoma is addressing it in a few ways. Since the 2017 emergency declaration, the city has done a pretty good job at being very reactive on how to address this issue. Some of the bigger things that they've been able to do is diversify and expand the shelter that's within the city. So giving opportunity for folks who are unsheltered to be able to give that. Now there's more room for that to be able to do in something part of our strategy that we are considering or continuing to do, which is expand and diversify, not just the shelter type, but also the providers too as well. And that hope is that we continue to gain support and different avenues and knowledge from those providers on how to find solutions as well. We also, as you mentioned, with the HEAL team, those are the outreach efforts of helping the folks that are unsheltered so that they can be able to get on a pathway towards house. And so those are some of the initial 2017 and what we've been doing a lot of times, along with other types of efforts. But what we look to continue to do is to keep growing. And so a few things that we're considering and that part of the strategy plan is one is to increase and support the AHOS, which is the Affordable Housing Action Strategy for the city, and also to be aligned with the county's comprehensive plan too as well. So with those things that we're considering to bolster so that we are helping not only the prevention, keeping people from being homeless in the first place as best as we can, or having strong diversion programs that if they are to become homeless, they can be diverted back to housing as quick as possible. So those are other things, increasing our outreach efforts, increasing healthcare, access to the behavioral health side of folks who are experiencing homelessness and being unsheltered are also big things that the city is continuing to work on and strategizing in terms of how we're funding organizations as well. So yeah.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you, Caleb. And can you share with us, Caleb, why it's important to be compassionate in the approach to ending homelessness?
Yeah, that's a really important question. One of the best definitions I actually have heard is that compassion is walking in someone's shoes, but reminding yourselves that they're not your shoes. And so with the way that I look at compassion, I look at it in three different phases. First, for the individual who is experiencing homelessness and who is unhoused. So with those folks, you know, we need to be able to see what they're kind of going through on a day-to-day basis or what they have gone through that has made it to this point where they found themselves in this situation and really supporting that individual. But also we need to consider the organizations that do this type of work and what brings them to doing that type of work and helping and supporting people who are experiencing homelessness or unsheltered. And so those are really, really important in terms of compassion with that. But the last one is sometimes we forget to remind ourselves is that the community also needs to be supported, because in order for us to be a whole community, we need to be able to be whole, and that is helping folks who are experiencing unsheltered and homelessness, and we'll never be whole as a community until we do that.
Right, and I love that definition of compassion.
Yeah.
That is actually amazing. And so, do you feel like the program is working?
Yeah, well, I think in terms of the reactive way that we've been able to do has been able to work in terms of trying to get people into places and be safe. And that's what we're consistently trying to do, is thinking about safety for the individuals who are experiencing homelessness and also the community as well. But we are always looking at how our outcomes are coming out from the programs that we support and that our providers run, and always constantly assessing those programs. And so it's really important that we continue to do that. We continue to get feedback from those folks and let them kind of do some of the things that they're passionate about, but also get feedback from the advocates and the community and the organizers that are also really passionate and have a vocation for this type of work as well. And so those are always things to keep in mind as we're continuing to grow, because we still have a lot of growth to do. And I think we're trying to just be a little bit more proactive moving forward instead of reactive, so that we have a better way of preparing for things that may come that we're not necessarily known about. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, Caleb, one final question. How does Tacoma compare with other cities in helping to curb the homeless population?
Yeah, so I've worked in a couple of other cities. I've worked in Chicago for about 3 years. And I also, of course, have worked and have been familiar with some of the work that some of our sister cities, or Seattle or Portland, are doing that are close by. I know about other programs that are outside the city, or other housing models like in Austin, or like in other places too as well. And so some of those models are very well known and that I'm very familiar with. But in terms of what the city is able to do, one of the things is that I keep mentioning, and I think even the mayor and the council members also, is when they've reached out to other cities to see what else we can do, often they find that Tacoma is usually in the forefront and usually are doing things that other cities are not quite. And a good example that actually happened this week was City of Albuquerque actually came and visited us to understand all of our shelter models and our diversification with those, and learning about how they can implement it and talk with their city council to be able to do it. I've also had folks from like Beaumont, Texas reach out to us and how to strategize around financial and helping with understanding how the city can leverage and understand feasibility of properties that they own. And I know that there's more stories like this that cities have actually reached out to us. Not to say that I think with that type of communication allows us to have a learning opportunity even from other cities to say, oh, we've tried this, and this is what we're also experiencing, and we can also connect and say, oh, that's consistent with what we're doing too as well. So there's still a lot more room to be able to grow.
Well, that's pretty awesome that other cities are using our program as a model. So that speaks volumes to what your team is obviously doing and the city is doing. And you'd previously shared that you've only been here a couple months, so welcome to the family.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We definitely appreciate you being on the show, and we hope to see you back again. And thank you for sharing all of that very important information regarding your program, your team, and the homelessness situation that we have going on. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate being here.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Caleb. Now, don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to see how community residents are helping to tidy up Tacoma. Stay with us.